not sure how you should be breathing during your workout, stick around because I'm going to be sharing that with you, and we're starting right now. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Thomas from RohmerFitness, and how should you be breathing when you are doing your weightlifting exercises? I think this is something when you are first starting out, you're not really too aware of it. You just kind of lift the weights, and breathing isn't something that you really think about until maybe a little bit later on, or maybe you hear about it somewhere and you're like, oh yeah, how should I be breathing during my exercises? And once you become conscious of it, you kind of just are, always worried about messing it up, or you focus a little bit too much on the breathing instead of the actual weightlifting. So how should you be breathing when you lift weights, and then how can you just kind of get it to that point where you're not always thinking about it? Because that's kind of the end goal, is you want to have a good practice, a good system in place with your breathing to where it really becomes subconscious. I mean, think about just normal breathing in day-to-day life. If you had to always think about breathing, it would be very annoying, and that's how you want to eventually transition with the breathing technique that I'm going to show you. Is eventually you want to be conscious of it when you're first working on it, and then you eventually want it to become subconscious, so that way you can focus more on the actual exercise itself. So what should you be doing in terms of breathing? Well, there is a concentric part of the lift and an eccentric part to every lift. So I'm going to put that video in the somewhere up there where I go more in depth on that. But essentially, if you are doing a squat, for example, on the way down, that is going to be the eccentric part of the lift, and on the way up, that is going to be the concentric part of the lift. So typically, what you would be doing is on the way up, you would be breathing out. So you would be exhaling on the squat when you are standing up. And when you are squatting down, that is when you would be inhaling. So you would just want to inhale on your way down and exhale when you are squatting back up. Same thing, let's say with a barbell curl, for example. You would want to exhale when you are lowering the weight, and then you would want to inhale while you are lowering the weight, and then exhale when you are lifting the weight up. For most people, that is how you're going to want to breathe for just about every exercise that you're doing. However, one thing you will notice is power lifters, when they're doing a 1 rep max or something like that, a very, very heavy set, an all-out set or an all-out rep or something like that, they'll take a couple of really big deep breaths, and then they'll hold it. They'll just hold their breath the entire portion of the lift. So if they're doing a really heavy squat, for example, they'll take in all those deep breaths, and then they'll hold their breath while they squat down and stand back up. And what that's going to do is it's going to get all the oxygen in your body, and then you're going to brace your core, keep all that energy inside of you, and really help you to get out of that eccentric part and stand back up when you're doing a squat. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend that sort of breathing technique, taking in a really big deep breath and just holding your breath actually for the entire rep of the exercise if you're lifting extremely heavy weights for a lower rep range. So let's say, for example, you're doing 5 reps of squat with a really heavy weight. In this instance, you would go ahead, take in a really big deep breath, brace your core, brace yourself, complete the rep while holding your breath, reset, go ahead and breathe back in, complete another rep, and do that for the total of 5 repetitions. If you're doing more moderate rep ranges or higher rep ranges, maybe 8 reps, 10 reps, 12 reps, that's when I would focus more on the first breathing technique that I mentioned, where in general you just want to, exhale on the concentric and inhale on the eccentric. So that is kind of how I would break it up there, depending on what your goals are and how much weight you're lifting and so on and so forth. But initially with breathing, as with anything else, when you first start out with it, it's going to be very awkward, and you're not going to have the timing down right. You're going to be exhaling on the wrong part of the lift, or your exhale isn't going to last as long as you're pressing the weight up on a bench press, for example. So it is going to take some time for you to actually perfect this, and so just be aware of that, and understand that it's going to take practice, but eventually, like I mentioned earlier, you want to get to the point where it's just becomes second nature and you don't really focus on the breathing so much. You really focus more on the actual lift itself. But of course, you have to become aware of your breathing and fix it in the first place, and then from there, kind of make it a subconscious second nature type of thing. So that is going to be it for today's video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and also while you're at it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with my latest tips and videos. And other than that, I will be talking to you next time. Peace.